Okay, we're now recording. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly and Keisha. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, welcome. I'm Kelly. I am on the committee for Movable Feast, and I've been an ambassador for about 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
Hi, everyone. I'm Keisha. I am on the board of Movable Feast. This is my second year on the board, a second year working with DOFL, so I'm very excited, very excited to be able to share and talk with ambassadors in regards to what could be done as you're participating with the different patrons of the restaurant.
Hi, I'm Judy, and I'm also on the board and second year. We came in the same class, Keisha.
Yes.
And this is my first year that I'm going to be an ambassador. I did participate as a an eater. I went out for dinner last year at one of the restaurants. And so the ambassadors at that particular restaurant were pretty remarkable. They were people who had also done it for many, many years. And I think it was a former board member. So I got to see kind of that role, and I thought perhaps I could participate this year. So I'm anxious to get the training and see how it goes.
Awesome. Did someone else join us?
Thought so.
We have a couple others. More, do you want to tell us a little bit
No.
about?
Hi, I'm Beth. A friend of mine referred me, and it'll be my first year.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Kevin, did you want to say anything about
Oh,
you?
yeah. Well, I'm Kevin Smith. I'm the events manager here at Movable Feast. This is my first DOFL, so it's all very new and exciting at times, strange at others. But I want to thank you all for coming in tonight. We think it's going to be a good event, and we're all pumped.
Kevin, before we continue on, I just want to know, were you able to send, I don't know if I missed it, the ambassador resource guide to the people on the call, or they already have it?
I believe so. Did everyone get the
Yeah.
ambassador manual on the agenda for tonight?
Yes, I received it. This is Judy. Mhm.
I can send all that out again, of course. There's some other links and stuff that I'll send you.
No problem. So I'll make sure you guys have it as we refer to some things there. All
And
right, go ahead.
a copy of that will also be put in all the ambassador boxes too. So just you will
Yeah,
get
I think it was attached to the email we got with the trainings on it.
awesome.
Perfect. All right.
Awesome. All right. So, do you want to go into what is Dining Out for Life? And it looks like I know Carol was on the call, but I think she had to step out. And is it Shanna? Am I saying that right?
It's Shauna, and I've been an ambassador before.
Awesome. Okay, well, welcome back.
Welcome.
So, what is Dining Out for Life? So, Dining Out for Life is a national event that supports AIDS services organizations. Did you say it was every state, Kevin, has the ability to have a Dining Out for Life affiliation?
Really any big city. So you could have multiple in a state. I don't know if I'm sure there's not a size requirement, but it's generally larger cities.
I thought you said city, but then I thought maybe I was wrong about that. So historically, Dining Out for Life typically takes place in April, but we do ours in October or September because of Ride for the Feast. So just so we don't have two competing events happening at one time. And a number of restaurants will donate a percentage of their sales that day to Movable Feast. So I believe this year we were trying to get most restaurants to do 30% since is this our 31st year?
31. Yeah,
31st, yep.
31%.
31% for their 31st year doing Dining Out for Life. And so they will be donating a portion of their proceeds to Movable Feast.
Wait for the next slide.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so your job as an ambassador is to represent Movable Feast. So these restaurants sign on to help us out and to donate a percentage of their sales, but the staff is busy being the staff at the restaurant and, you know, doing their job. So we have representatives there to answer questions and to thank diners for coming in. So as you see, there are 3 goals of an ambassador. One is to promote their restaurant. So one thing that we tell the restaurants is we're going to get more people in the door that night. Thursday is not always a huge night for restaurants. So we're going to help bring in even more people that night. So you can, you know, tell all your friends, try to pack the restaurant as much as you can, get as many people as you can to come out to that restaurant to see you. You're also then going to answer any questions and share the mission of Movable Feast. So you will actually be going up to diners and thanking them and telling them about Dining Out for Life, because a lot of people, you know, you're going to have people that come because they know that it's Dining Out for Life, and you're going to have a lot of people that are just there to have dinner that night and don't know that it's Dining Out for Life. So we are there as an extension of Movable Feast to let people know about the mission and what the restaurant is doing that night.
Yeah, and to have fun, even as, you know, that's not a goal that we list out there, but definitely to have fun and be engaged with the different patrons. And that's for you to enjoy yourself also when you are there representing Movable Feast.
And it is, again, I think this will be my 14th year being an ambassador. I wouldn't keep doing it and coming back if I didn't enjoy it. It's always just a really fun night. 99% of the people that you meet are really happy to be there, whether they knew it was Dining Out for Life or not. We'll kind of go through what you do as an ambassador, but those are sort of the 3 goals: promote the restaurant, make sure we get more people in there, share the mission, and then thank people for coming out and try to get more donations from them. Because as we tell them, the restaurant is donating portion of their sales. We would also like the patrons coming out that night to make a donation as well, if possible. All
right. Want me to get it, Kelly, or are you gonna go ahead?
Go ahead.
So the next we talk about is just your table engagement script. And if you look in the manual there on page 2, there's a whole section laid out in regards to what we just have as a recommendation. We don't want it to be robotic when you're engaging with the table. We want it for you to flow with it. But that's the main things to kind of touch on is you want to definitely greet the person, greet the table. And I said person because you might have a solo eater. So if it's a solo eater, it's a whole table full, just having a greeting, speaking about Movable Feast's mission, and speaking from the heart. You don't have to look on the website, copy down verbatim what the mission is. Just speak it from the heart and why you're connected with Movable Feast. And then talk about the personal donation and the raffle prize. So there's a personal donation. Yes, the restaurant is donating a percent of the proceeds from that night, but the patrons are able to still do a personal donation right there at the table. We provide a QR code. If they want to give cash or write a check, but many people right now go into the QR code. And if they do that personal donation, that helps us because we have their contact and we get to connect with them again. But also they get to be a part of a raffle prize. On page 2, it talks about that raffle prize. For the donor raffle prize, they'll have 3 raffle winners chosen at random on October 25th. And then Movable Feast will contact them and they're able to get one of 3 of the Taste of Maryland gift card bundles. So just talking to them about that they get to have a prize themselves if they provide a personal donation, and explaining the raffle prize to them. We also have some ambassador tips and tricks inside the manual for you to kind of look at for those that just want to review. And even if you've been an ambassador before, just to refresh your mind, because I know it's a yearly thing, just to go back and look at it in regards to how navigating the table. And we're going to set some time aside to talk about some situations that might pop up when you're at the tables and how to handle those situations. But if you look at the script, it's very simple in regards to, again, just layout. The greeting is on page 2. Again, if you have it printed out or pulled up on your screen. And it just talks about you're a volunteer, if they're familiar with movable feasts. If not, you could talk about being a local nonprofit. If they are, give them kudos that they know about movable feasts. And then asking about, again, the personal donation, and explain to them the restaurant you're at. Let's say you are Gertrude. Gertrude's already providing a percentage of donation, and this is your opportunity to have a personal donation to Movable Feast and explaining the raffle prize.
Yeah, so in my experience, one of a couple of things will happen. So typically I always go up to a table. The best time to try and greet a table is after they've already ordered drinks. And before, you don't know when they've ordered food, but before the food arrives. So if they've already ordered drinks and have drinks in front of them, and hopefully they've maybe made a selection from the menu, but their food hasn't come yet, because you don't want to interrupt anyone while they're eating, but you also don't want to take time away from them ordering. So if they have drinks in front of them, that's usually a good sign. And I just go up and I say, hi, and I always start with, hi, I'm Kelly. Are you aware that tonight is Dining Out for Life? And they will either say yes. Sometimes hopefully you've packed the house, you've brought people in. So people will say, yeah, that's why I'm here. And you can say, great, thank you so much for coming out, thank them for coming, and just kind of remind them. Or more often than not, they'll kind of give you a blank stare, like, what are you talking about? And we don't want to take up too much of their time. So we just say, okay, so tonight, insert Gertrude's is donating a percentage of their sales tonight to Movable Feast. Movable Feast is an organization that delivers medically tailored meals to people living at the intersection of chronic illness and I forget exactly what I said, serious illness and food insecurity. So something about, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you basically want to just give the mission and say, tonight Gertrude's has graciously decided to do Dining Out for Life with other restaurants in the city, and they are donating a portion of their proceeds to Movable Feast, which delivers medically tailored meals to people living with HIV, AIDS, breast cancer, and so on. So just by coming out tonight, you've already supported the cause. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate Gertrude's for donating to us. Since they're already giving us a percentage, it's a great night to go ahead and get an extra drink, get an appetizer, get a dessert. Also, if you would like to make a donation yourself, and then you can give them an envelope or the QR code, anything you can do that would help further our mission of Movable Feast. Give them that information so that they can do that and say, when you donate any amount, you will be entered into the raffle for, whatever the prize is. Let me see, it says over $500 in restaurant gift cards. That's correct?
Well,
250.
yes. So three packs of 250.
Okay, but you will be entered into a donation to, blah, blah, blah. So, any donation, a donation of any size helps. We appreciate it so much. If you have any questions, let me know. Sometimes people will want more information. We have information cards, postcards in the box that has all of that information. And a lot of times people are just going to say thank you for, and just kind of want you to move on. It doesn't have to be a lengthy thing. You don't need to give them every statistic about we delivered to these counties and this many clients. If people want that information, and we'll talk about later what happens if people want more information, you can give them that. But really, you're just kind of greeting them, speaking a little bit about the mission, thanking them for coming, and soliciting that donation if you can. And then, letting them know, hey, if you have more questions, I'll be around, kind of thing. So it doesn't have to be a lengthy ordeal. Don't feel like you have to know all of the information about Movable Feast. Most people aren't going to ask you about it. But just, you're mainly there to be that point of contact and make that ask.
Next.
All right, you could go to the next one.
Okay. And I know, so real quick before we move on, we have some fast facts here. If you want to incorporate that into what you do, I usually kind of give the same spiel, but if you want to say, along with saying that they deliver medically tailored meals, if you want to add in something about we're in our 34th year of service or something like that, make it your own, pick something that sort of speaks to you and why you're here volunteering for Movable Feast. So there are some fast facts if you want them there. And again, we'll have information on those cards that tells you things about Movable Feast and kind of like, I think it gives statistics about like how many meals served and whatnot. Is that correct, Kevin? I think in the past, that's usually
Let's see here.
been what it is.
Yep.
And that will also, if there is a question that you might not know the answer to, that will give you some of it, like says we serve Baltimore City, the 5 surrounding counties, and the entire Eastern Shore. So if people ask like, how far do you go or what, there's some things in there that if you read those fast facts, that will help you a little bit just to know. But again, most of these things are not going to come up. The other thing that part of the tips and tricks, invite your friends and your family. It's always nice to see friendly faces and to, it's definitely easier when the table you go up to, you already know, and you can kind of practice your spiel on them. And they can give you some feedback and you can just get comfortable with it. Also, then you just see people that and it makes it more of a fun night when you have your friends there. I always let the servers know as well. Hey, I'm Kelly. I'm going to be here for this event tonight. I have gone into several restaurants and the servers did not know what was going on, just because that is the nature of the restaurant industry, that you're not having a lot of team meetings. You're not really having like Zoom meetings like in other places. So you go in for your shift. You might not know that tonight is Dining Out for Life. So I usually let all the servers know, hey, I'm Kelly. I'm going to be hanging out in the corner. If anybody, tonight's Dining Out for Life, if anybody approaches you about it and you have questions, you can have them see me. If there's a place you'd rather me be, so I'm not in your way, we want to just make it easier on the servers. So just kind of have a quick chat with them if you can, to let them know why you're there, because again, a lot of times they might not know. And you are, even though the restaurant is donating for Movable Feast and Dining Out for Life, you are the person who is the ambassador for Movable Feast. So we don't expect the servers to know anything going in. We don't expect them to have that information.
Kelly,
yeah.
I have usually found that when I tell them personally how I got involved with volunteering for Movable Feast, that seems to pique some interest, because then you can tell them, like I usually tell my story of how I started out delivering meals for holidays when the regular drivers were off, and how rewarding that was, and moved from there to the kitchen and elaborate on that a little bit, and then became part of Dining Out for Life committee. But so, and they oftentimes, I've had people ask me then how they can volunteer. So it's a good thing to kind of bring up to get them interested.
That's good.
As well.
Adding your personal touch to it. And that's what we want. We want you,
make
that's that example. That's perfect. Adding that personal touch.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we also have in the manual about volunteering, because you're right. People hearing your story and why you're connected, and maybe hearing about movable feast for the first time or hearing about it enough that they're like, you know what? Let me volunteer. The holidays are coming up. Let me volunteer.
Mhm.
Definitely navigating them to the information about movable feast, that go on the webpage so that they can volunteer.
Right.
That's another way of building that connection. So it's not, yes, our primary goal is our donations that we're going to be receiving from the restaurant, the personal donations. But imagine if we could increase our volunteer base, that's awesome too. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because you sharing that story with people, and because that will make them interested to volunteer too. So thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Yes. And I moved very quickly, but I did, I'm not even sure if I said it, but we did mention speaking from the heart, because a lot of people, they might not want to know statistics of, well, how many meals you deliver and whatnot, but they do want to know, it speaks to them when you speak about how it's, how the mission affects you. So, and if this is your first time volunteering with them, don't feel like you have to have a big reason. But if you have, that personal experience, people do want to hear about that, especially if they came out because it's Dining Out for Life, or, if they're particularly excited when they hear about it. Because some people are like, oh, that's so cool. We had no idea that was tonight. We're so glad we came out. More often than not, once in a while, I think in the 13 years that I've been doing this, I've had 2 people that just were not interested and were like, please don't talk to me. But most of the time, people are excited and want to, even if they don't want to know more, they're happy to be there for the cause.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had a couple of those too, but yeah, you just have to say, I'm sorry I bothered you, and keep on moving.
Yeah. And Kevin, I don't think there's anywhere we're going to have more than one ambassador, or is it there's a few places?
We're kind of struggling a bit to recruit ambassadors. I know Shanna and the other Fierce Chicks, I think they'll be at Cosima. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know a lot of them have not registered because we're really bad at that, but we're dealing with like making the reservation right now, and people usually, so we have about 10 people that we won't all be ambassadoring at the same time, but
yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say with that is, if you have instances where there's a patron that says, I don't want to talk with you, or kind of just giving you that dismissive, it's good to, if there's another ambassador there, to make them aware.
So we
that
have a
way,
system.
Yeah.
We have a
Say it one more
tried and
time.
true, we have a tried and true system, the Fierce Chick. So we've been ambassadoring as a team for longer than I've been with them. I'm the captain of the team right now. So we have a tried and true system. So if you're working with another person, the way that we like to do it is that we will put the envelopes when we go to talk to them, and we'll tell people, like, if you have the envelope on the table, other people will know not to talk to you. So even if they don't want to talk with us, we'll just be like, oh, just keep this here, and then nobody else is going to come up to you. And then
Well, that's good.
The servers are always really good. The servers are always really good at bringing us the envelopes when we try to catch them so the servers don't have extra work to do. But we usually, in the spiel, I'll say, oh, look, if like we forget it, please feel free to bring us the envelopes, and they'll hand it to anybody. We're like, hand it to anyone with a pink shirt. It's fine. So that's how we try to get them in between.
And that ties into what I'm saying is, you want to have some type of communication or some type of process if there's more than one person there. So that way, you guys kind of know who's been at what table, who's communicated with what patrons. And it seemed like you guys used the whole, put the envelope here. So that way someone won't come back over, because you've seen the envelope. That means someone's already talked to that table. So that's good.
Yeah, I usually, I always do it with my best friend. We're like a 2-woman show, and we always come back to the same spot, and we'll say, okay, did you get this one? Okay, I'm going to get this one, and then I'm going to get this one, just having
communication, right?
So I know right now we're struggling to get volunteers, but when they're in a week from now, when we're overwhelmed with volunteers and they're watching this recording, and that's what I'm manifesting out there, that they're going to say, oh, good, I know what to do with my partner now that there's two of
Right.
us.
Yes. Good. Wonderful. Wonderful.
So Keisha came up with a great list of just things that you might encounter, questions that you might encounter, sort of interactions that you're like, what do I do in this situation? So Keisha, I don't know if you want to kind of go through
Yeah,
some.
I'm just gonna touch on a few of them. And again, these were just we did a survey last year, and some of the ambassadors said, hey, if we could, get some more ideas or thoughts in regards to different situations that might come up. And so just thought about just even my own personal experience when I go out to restaurants and the things I observe. So they're listed here in the manual on page 4 and on page 5, and you can review them. I'm just going to touch on a few. And again, it's just to set some expectations in regards to some of the responses. I know we talked about before trying to get to the table before they start eating, but it all depends on how busy it is. If you get there, as they're maybe in the middle of eating, just, saying you don't want to interrupt, and let's quickly share your information, just depending. Some places might serve appetizers. I don't know about you, but I love a place that gives me some good bread. So I might be in the middle of eating my bread, but then, step in real quick, share, as in the middle of the chew. We talked about somebody being dismissive and us using some different techniques to kind of show that we have already talked to this table already, and you don't have to go back and interrupt them. If it's loud and noisy, that's a big thing, right? It's real loud, it's real noisy. Sometimes you gotta lean in a little bit, trying to lean into that person closer that you could talk with. Just because, again, just being mindful of you being over the table. So there's different little things here. I want another situation that's here is the political atmosphere. Sometimes you might have a patron, and I actually saw this at a restaurant we went out to eat recently, and the server had on like a pin, and someone started having this conversation with her, and I felt it was kind of inappropriate, and I know she kind of felt like stuck, like, how do I respond to this person with their inappropriate comments? But you're gonna have some of those moments where someone might have something inappropriate that they say, either about the organization or about the political things going on, whatever the reason. Feel free to step away. If they're drunk, too many drinks that they've had, feel free to step away. Just politely step back and say, enjoy your meal. Leave the information on the table that they could look at it for themselves, but don't feel like you have to engage with those patrons. So there's different situations that we feel might come up. We hope nothing negative occurs.
Right. And the same thing too, if you go up to a table and they're just immediately dismissive and they say, we don't want to hear anything, that's okay. Just, oh, okay, sorry to bother you. Don't feel like you have to.
Yep.
We really try to talk to every single table. Sometimes you might miss a table just because, especially if it's just you and it's a very busy restaurant, it happens. But also, if you go up to someone and they're just not interested, don't take it personally. Just say, okay, and just walk away. It's not mandatory that you speak to everyone. So don't, if someone's making you feel uncomfortable or they just are giving you the vibe that they're really not interested, it's totally fine to just, okay, and sort of walk away. Another thing, back to we were talking about the staff, we don't want to be a hindrance. So, if you're in the middle of talking and the server comes over and starts delivering the food, just step aside, just make sure you're not in the way, because we appreciate that the restaurants are doing this for us and that we are in their space. So we want to make sure we're not in the server's way at all or holding them up. you know, if they're coming with food, just kind of step aside and wait until, you know, you have a minute to speak. And usually the restaurant staff are all really good about that. But they're really doing us such a favor by donating to us. We want to make sure that we're not in the way and that we're being good stewards of, you know, movable feasts and that they want us back. I don't think we've ever had anyone say they don't want us back, but you know, we just want to be mindful that we're in that space, especially if you're in like a very tight, cramped space. I know I did Coco's Pub one year.
No,
Yeah, I didn't even have a spot to put my box. Like normally I park myself at the bar all night and I didn't even have a place to sit. So just try to not be in the way. And yeah, as Carol was, or I believe it was, I'm going to say it wrong again. Shayna said, you know, the servers will bring you the envelopes. They are usually pretty happy to work with you. You know, we don't want to put that on them, but if they're like, I can grab this for you and give it back to you, that's fine as well. Because that can be really helpful sometimes when they're bussing the tables, if they'll just sort of bring you things. So, you know, make it your own, do what works for you and what's comfortable for you and the restaurant, because each restaurant is going to be different than the last.
and Kelly, you're saying, talking about Coco's Pub, I was actually there today. And I had a crab cake, but it reminded me, because Coco's Pub's another story of going up and down the bar. When you're squeezed between the bar and the people at the tables and trying to talk to the people at the bar. So yeah, it's a bit of maneuvering. The other thing I wanted to mention, when I was at Coco's Pub, it reminded me, we had an ambassador who was going to the people waiting in line for their tables. And I was not a big fan of that. I didn't think that was appropriate, to try and talk to them while they're waiting for their table. Much easier when you've got them, you know, and they're settled.
Yeah.
Anyway,
For
that's
sure.
just an aside.
And I would think too, it would be confusing, you know, did we talk to that person yet? Were they sitting? Were they
And
sitting?
exactly what happens.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
Sometimes
that person that was doing that, were you guys together? Were you there with them
I
as an
mean,
ambassador?
we
Or you just heard
were
about it?
we were assigned, no, we were both assigned 2 people to one restaurant that probably didn't need 2 people.
Right.
And I've actually, that may be the only instance that I had where I had another person with me. Because usually it's pretty doable.
Yeah.
Unless the restaurant's huge.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another thing just to bring up that we thought about was that as you talk with different patrons, they might try to they might ask, and you know, like, what's the difference between movable feasts and Meals on Wheels, or different organizations that deal with food? And it's just to be, you know, just to explain the difference of movable feasts dealing with medically tailored meals and to the group that we deal with versus these other organizations that, you know, they're feeding just is like this delivery program. So that's explaining that difference and explaining that because it's different.
Nutritional counseling as well. So it's the education portion that Movable Feast also has nutrition education available to all of our clients.
Yeah, that's not general meal assistance. It's the medically tailored meal, the nutritional counseling is a package. And so let's explain that difference because that might come up and that's given.
Yeah. And if you encounter something, if someone asks a question you don't know the answer to, it's okay to say, you know, I don't know the answer. If you'd like, I can have someone get back to you if you want to give me your information, or you can, you know, give them the website. You might be able to find that information that you're looking for on the cards or on the in your manual. But if you can't, it's okay to just say, hey, you know, I don't have that right now. You know, I'm a volunteer. I don't work for Movable Feast, but if you would really like the information, I'd be happy to, find out for you and relay it back. We don't expect that you will know everything. There are still questions that I get that I don't know the answer to. And sometimes people are just asking sort of in passing and, they don't care enough to pass on their information. Or sometimes, if they want to get involved, we can say, okay, I can pass your information on to Kevin and someone, can be in touch with you about volunteering and whatnot and so on. And the website is always available as well.
Before we move on to the next slide, I don't think we touched on this, but on page 2, we talked about the donor raffle. There was the ambassador raffle prize too. So for the ambassadors, one ambassador will be chosen on October 11th. And they will have a prize of a Taste of Maryland gift card bundle totaling $100. So that's great too. So it's not only for the donors, but we also given a raffle prize to the ambassadors. So just want to make sure, put that out there. While the hard work that's going to be done that night, that evening, that there is going to be a prize for the ambassadors too. That one lucky person that's going to take me with them when they go for the Taste of Maryland. All right, next slide, Kevin.
Okay.
We talked about this real quick. Yeah.
You want to go over the social media toolkit?
Yeah, we have some social media assets that are available. We have 3 separate pictures that are kind of sized optimally for Facebook and Instagram. That is the link. You don't need to write that down. I will send that out to everybody. But yeah, we invite you to use those on Facebook, Instagram, to say to your network, hey, I'm volunteering. I'm an ambassador, please come out to eat. If not my restaurant, any restaurant. So they're there. There's also a little canned dialogue that you can use or edit to your taste that kind of talks about the event as well. So again, I'll send that out to everybody. And again, encourage you to use those to help us promote the event.
And when you send that out as well, you can also when you sign up as an ambassador, I'm not sure if everyone's signed up yet, but you get your own personal donation page. If people live in state and can make it, we really try to encourage people to come out that night. But if you want to send out an email to people out of state or let people, who can't make the event know, they can still donate to you personally through your fundraising page. So maybe even after the event, I know those pages stay open for a while. So maybe after the event on the 11th, you send out, hey, if you missed it tonight, if you missed coming out, thanks for everybody for coming out last night to Dining Out for Life. If you missed it, you can still donate to my page here. And that donation will, you will get the credit for it because you were the ambassador, but it will go, it'll go to Movable Feast and it'll show you that they donated to your page, which can be kind of fun if you have other friends that are ambassadors and you want to get some friendly competition going to who can bring in.
I love it. Friendly competition. I love it.
Yeah. So, okay. Kevin, did you want to go over the logistics?
Yeah. So the ambassador boxes, we are waiting on some printed materials, specifically the envelopes. And we're going to put a kind of mission-based postcard in addition to the event-specific postcard in there. I'm hoping to have those by Friday, 10/4. If they come in earlier, I'll get them together. We can kind of start the whole process earlier. But I'll reach out to all the ambassadors kind of directly. You guys obviously can come in the office. If it gets to a point where you just can't connect and deliver, I may take it to the restaurant directly and leave it there for the ambassador. So that's going to be kind of a wait and see and figure it out as we go situation. In terms of picking them up, certainly if you have cash, we would like to get that night. The plan I know in the past we've had kind of central locations. We're going to try this year to have kind of staff strategically placed around the city so that at the end of the night, maybe it's just a 5-minute trip to drop off the box. But yeah, I'll be driving around town. And I'll be kind of the primary contact that evening. So if you have any questions or anything, just reach out to me and I'll help coordinate whatever support you happen to need at the time. And kind of ending with this last minute, the top 5 priorities for the evening. You know, promote the event, visit the restaurant, have fun, speak from your heart, as everyone said. Drop off donations. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to go over again, in the box, we'll have postcards that will have information about Movable Feast and Dining Out for Life. The envelopes, if people want to donate. The QR code, I think, is usually on the postcard, but there will be a QR code if they want to donate directly. You'll have your manual of information in there. Pens, an apron that you can wear around, and I believe Kevin is also making buttons that say Dining Out for Life.
Yeah.
Do we have I dined stickers this year?
Well, we don't have the stickers. We're using the aprons that still have the old logo.
Okay.
I'm gonna have buttons with a new logo to cover those up. I'll also make Ask Me About Dining Out for Life buttons that maybe we could even get like the hostess or the servers to wear. So there'll be buttons in the box, you know, the stuff that Kelly said too.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, I think you've been very comprehensive, a lot of good ideas and words of wisdom for those of us who are either not experienced or less experienced. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
You guys are welcome.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for joining us on a school night.
Yeah.
I'll send out an email with all the stuff and a link to the social media assets. And if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Yes, please reach out.
Kevin, did you get my email?
I did, Carl. I didn't really get a chance to process it yet, but
Okay, no, that's
Thank you.
fine, just so you got it. I got 2 more restaurants sort of hanging on a
Good.
hook.
Good.
If you want to get in touch with them.
I'll try to
All right, thanks.
get them tomorrow.
Okay.
We want to keep Kevin busy. with the restaurants and you guys, the ambassadors being engaged. You know, this is definitely a big fundraiser for Movable Feast, and we just want to give it our all. So thank you guys so much for coming out
Yes.
and letting this be recorded. And intent is to share with other ambassadors as they come on board. And I will have a very successful fundraiser. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Have a great evening, everybody.
All right, take
Thanks
care.
again.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.